Şimdi Elena Boerman bizimle birlikte olacak. Kendisi Almanya'dan geldi. Sözü fazla uzatmadan alkışlarla sahneye davet ediyorum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Gelmiyor muydu?
Very good. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to present a project at this conference. My name is Elena Boerman. I studied architecture at the KIT in Karlsruhe, and I have been a research assistant there since the end of 2021 and a doctoral student also at the chair of sustainable construction of Professor Hebel since 2023. And I will start to share my screen now. I hope you can see it. Yes, I think it's fine. Yes, I would like to introduce you today into the planning and implementation of the Roof Kit project, which was our contribution at KIT to the Solar Decathlon Europe 2021-22. And the project applies the circular understanding of architecture on many different levels. And I would like to start today with a few facts about the status quo of the construction industry, which served as a starting point for us in this Roof Kit project in particular, but also guide us in our teaching and research at KIT. Back in the 1970s, the Club of Rome, a group of various scientists, stated already that the Earth system would collapse in the first half of the 21st century due to the pollution that could be observed, the growing world population, the unsustainable use of resources, and a number of other factors that you could see here. And yet today, 50 years later, we still see a world that mainly enriches itself from the Earth's resources without recognizing and preserving their actual value, and which in many areas functions as a linear system from the resource to material disposal. And the construction industry has a very great responsibility in this context. The European Commission states that the construction industry is responsible for half of primary raw material extraction in Europe, and it accounts for half of total energy consumption. In addition, 1/3 of water consumption is attributable to the construction industry in Europe, and 1/3 of the waste produced comes from the construction industry. But in the end, the Earth, as we see, is a closed system. All raw materials and materials that are extracted from the Earth remain on our planet in one form or another. We therefore need to think about the deconstruction of buildings right from the design, planning, and realization stages. We need a genuine circular economy, in our opinion, in which goods, resources, and components can circulate without losing value, and in which the input of primary materials and especially the output of waste on the other side are minimized. Yes, how does that work? And above all, how do we get there in the construction industry? In order to realize circular construction, in our opinion, we must adhere to the three important principles. Number one of that is we use single origin and pure materials, because all materials that are extracted and processed on our planet Earth should circulate in one of these two cycles, the biological cycle on the left-hand side or the technical cycle on the right-hand side, which were originally introduced by Michael Braungart and William McDonough under the term cradle to cradle, which you might know. And the mixing of these two cycles should be prevented in order to preserve the value of resources. Principle number two is the circular construction methods. In other words, the single origin materials are built into our buildings in such a way that we can easily take them apart again afterwards, in a keyword design for disassembly. And often adhesive or welded joints are used in the construction industry as they join the components together particularly firmly and quickly, and they are also durable and long-lasting, whereas detachable joining techniques require more expertise in planning and execution. Principle number three is in the spirit of conserving resources and preserving the value of materials, we make use of the large man-made stockpile of raw materials, the urban mine. We see the city as a supplier of many secondary materials that we can reuse or recycle. But unfortunately, pictures like these show that it is very difficult today to dismantle buildings with high quality and separated recovery of building materials under the current conditions of the building stock, hence also the term urban mine, and that has to change. Using our realized project Roof Kit, our contribution to the Solar Decathlon 21-22, I would now like to demonstrate how we were able to implement these three principles of circular construction on a one-to-one scale. The 18 university teams that were taking part in the SDE were asked to address questions such as how can we build in a way that conserves resources and how can the city be redensified with living space? And therefore, three classic building tasks for redensification in cities were put to the teams to choose from a building extension, closing a gap between buildings, or adding stories to an existing building. And our team from KIT, Team Roof Kit, as the name suggested already, chose the extension of the so-called Café Ada. This is a two-story building, as you can see it here from the industrial era in the Mirke Quarter in Wuppertal, where the SDE was placed. And the building today houses a cafe and a dance hall, a real cultural venue in the neighborhood. In the overall design for the building, this dance cafe was retained, revitalized, and extended upwards by 3 full stories. And the shed roof, as you can see, of the existing building is taken up again in the roof shape of the extension and serves to generate solar energy. The former cafe will remain on the ground floor. The first floor will be converted into a guest house. On the top floors, one can live, and the mezzanine floor between the existing and the new will be home to the new multifunctional dance hall. However, as not all teams could really add stories to the same building, and it was simply far too large for a student's project, each team cut out a small unit that you can see on the right-hand side here from the overall design. And this unit was then realized on a one-to-one scale as a prototype for the larger whole on the competition site in Wuppertal. And our prototype offers a 52 square meter flat for 1 to 2 people, centered around a core with an integrated utility room, kitchenette, and bathroom. And here you can see the prototype in real life. The wooden facade that you can see on the right-hand side comes from the overall design and is shown at the outside of the unit, while the other facades are fitted with a reused truck tarp on which the structural design and energy concept are applied. And the energy concept you can also see here, and I would like to briefly introduce this with a few technical hard facts about the building. The building has 12 PVT collectors that provide heat and electricity for it. The heating requirement is 24 kilowatt hours per square meter and year, and a degree of self-sufficiency of 83% can be achieved in the end. It is particularly important to us that the building is designed to be circular and that a large amount of materials already comes from the urban mine. So it's a mixture of the technical and the biological cycle, and according to the Urban Mining Index tool, this enables us to achieve a circularity rate of 98%, and the total global warming potential achieved is minus 15.9 tons of CO2 equivalents, according to the LCA calculation. We strictly adhere to the 3 principles which I mentioned in the beginning, and I will start to introduce you to the single origin materials used. One of the most interesting materials is certainly the insulation made from seaweed, collected and processed by a company which is based with us in Karlsruhe. Seaweed is washed up in the form of balls on the beaches of the Mediterranean Sea, for example, where it is normally collected and disposed of as waste. However, its insulating properties are comparable to other biological insulations. The material has a U value of 0.39, but is also rot, fire, and pest resistant due to its naturally high silicate content. The defibered seaweed balls are then simply filled into the horizontal lying timber frame construction, meaning that the insulation material can simply be removed again at the end of the building's life cycle. Another pure material is produced by the company Smile Plastics in England from old yogurt pots. First, plastic waste is collected and sorted by color and type of plastic, which is then shredded, heated, and processed into sheet materials that you can see here. And these panels can be processed in a similar way to wood. They can be sawn, milled, or drilled. And in our project, they were used, for example, as kitchen fronts. Another material produced by the German company Magna consists of glass waste that is usually sorted by color and collected in Germany. These glass fragments that are collected undergo a sintering process without the addition of binding agents, only under temperature and time, and the fragments deliberately remain visible. And the sheets are then cooled, cut into the desired size. And in our project, the material was used on the inside of the bathroom, as you can see here, and indirectly illuminated. Another material for which the pure use is of particular importance is the supporting structure of roof kit made of untreated spruce wood. The building consists of a modular timber construction made of solid wood. This means there's no glued wood in the unit. Instead, carpentry joints and screw connections are used. Solid wood is not only used as a load-bearing structure in the modules, but also as diagonal formwork, for example, to reinforce the walls. And all of these materials mentioned are joined together in the roof kit prototype using circular construction methods. The decision in favor of the prefabrication method in modular timber construction was not only due to the extremely short construction phase of the buildings in Wuppertal, I think it was 2.5 weeks, but prefabrication methods have also many advantages. The tradespeople have a weather-protected environment. The various trades do not get in each other's way or can be well scheduled, and the construction site time remains as short as possible, which is extremely relevant for building in an urban context, in our opinion. Yeah, one of the joining techniques used is pin and screw, and it is certainly the best known reversible type of joining technique. The production of the wooden room modules took place over a period of around 6 weeks in cooperation with the Kaufmann Carpentry Company in large assembly halls that you can see here. And the modules were then transported on several lorries and assembled on site within a single day and fixed in place with clearly visible screw connections, as you can see on the picture. Another joining technique is known as clamp and press fit. This technique was used, for example, for ceiling window reveals and in bathroom and kitchen, so we didn't have to use any silicons, adhesives, or construction foams. And thanks to stainless steel U-profiles and dry seals where the glass ceramics were put in, we were also able to do without adhesives and silicons in the wet areas of the bathroom. Now to the third principle of the roof kit project, the use of materials from the urban mine. None of the windows used in the roof kit project was specially made for it, as they are so-called stock windows. Stock windows are in perfect working order, but have been produced incorrectly in terms of size, have been returned to the warehouse, or have been removed from other buildings. In the facades, we then take the collected windows and use them to design it. This process shows that the serious circular economy in the construction industry reverses the design process for architects. It is not the building design that influences the choice of materials, but the availability of materials that influences the architectural design. Another interesting material from the urban mine are the stones from stone cycling in the Netherlands. They use mineral waste to produce bricks that can be used as masonry bricks or paving stones, for example. And we use them as outdoor flooring in the competition phase in Wuppertal. In the end, they were dismantled and returned, and we hope that they are now used in another project already. And last but not least, a lot of old wood was reused in the roof kit project. These old oak beams, for example, were taken from a demolished building, and we were able to purchase them from a recycling center. They were used again as a beam in the facade that you can see on the right-hand side with new wood, together with new wood. The facade is also made of old wood, and that has already been characterized by the effects of sun, rain, and wind. And we leave the old wood as it is and like it, that the material tells its very own story. And as you can see here, the roof kit prototype was firstly built for the SDE in Wuppertal and was then, without producing any waste or losing quality, transported to us in Karlsruhe and rebuilt there in a slightly modified form. And this is the end of my lecture. I would like to thank you very much for your attention and interest and wish you an exciting conference.